Hi, welcome to my next tutorial on Angular 4, and today we'll discuss about communicating between components using @input and @output decorator. Now when we are creating any Angular application, so let's see this diagram and try to understand one scenario. In a real-time application, we have, as we know that Angular is built around components, so we will, since it's a single page architecture, so you'll have one main page container that will be the main parent component, a container page or a container you can say, and within it we can load and unload different components. So we may have one child component, we can have several child components, okay, because Angular is built around components. So it is very much essential that there should be a mechanism in which the parent and child component should be able to communicate. So that is what we are going to demonstrate today, as how a parent and child component can share data or communicate. So this communication will be done via two decorators. We'll see that one is the input decorator, one is the output decorator. Okay, so let us create, because in our real practical projects we see whenever we are working on a real-time project, that this is the kind of scenario we have. Like, things are not simple. So we have many components, and each component, they should be able to communicate with the parent, at least with the parent component they should be able to communicate. So let us see this example. So this diagram just depicts a very simple use case scenario. Like, I have got a parent component, then I've got a child component. So let us see first how a child component should get data from the parent component. So let us first see that scenario, and that can be achieved by using the @input decorator. So coming back to the code, I have already started my server using ngserve, and my server, you can see, is running successfully. If I run the page, let me start localhost 4200. Okay, component communication, a very simple page I'm starting with. So I'm assuming that all your Angular environment is set up, as we have discussed in our first session. Then after that, I'm taking app component.ts and app component.html. So in app component.ts, in the first session I already changed the name of the selector. You can keep it any name, and just you need to make sure that in your index.html file you are having the same name. So the default name I have changed, I have made it my own, and this we have already seen that how we can do it in the first session, so I am not going to discuss about it further. Okay, so if I open this, you see that my own selector is over here. So whatever name you give over there, the same selector name I have to use, and that is how a component is created. And this is one of the basic component, the minimal component that we have in our application when we create an Angular application, is app.component.ts. Though you can take any other name, but this is the default name you'll get if you are using Angular, if you are generating it through Angular CLI interface. Okay, now coming back to this topic of component communication. So I close this file, which is not required at the moment. So let me create one custom component of my own. As we see that this is HTML template, which is the template for this main component. This template URL is referring to, and this has got nothing but just a simple title variable. In title I've written component communication as a value, and this is what it is displaying over here. This is bounded through interpolation or data binding, and this is what we see over here when we run this application. Fine. Now let us create one more component. So either you can create it in a separate directory, or it is always a good practice to create it in a separate directory. Say I'll call it say already have views folder created. So let me do one thing. I can create it in view, or maybe I can create it in a because in views I already have some other different files, so let me not mix it up with this. Let me create one folder first at the app level. Okay, so I create a folder and I name it custom component. Though all the components are custom components only, custom components. That's it. This is the folder. So I get a folder called custom component, and I'll create one file within that. So let me name this file as say it is a data component. I'll display some data. Okay, data component, okay, .ts file. You can give it any suitable name as you want. So just I'm giving a very simple name, data component. Okay, so this component will display the data, formatted data. So say for example I want to have a very simple employee record, employee of a company. Okay, so this data will display the employee, say name h3, I'll say name colon and then span, and let me give it the style is equal to, I'm just keeping it as simple as possible. Okay, style is equal to say color colon say green. Okay, font size, font hyphen size colon say 18 pixel. That's it. And font, okay, any other formatting you want to do. So let me keep it very simple. Let me not go so deep down into it. So and then close this h3 tag. Sorry, actually I should take it in a template URL. Let me cut it and keep it. Okay, because this is a component.ts. So first for creating a component, I'm sorry, actually I thought I was writing it inside the HTML template, so I simply started typing. So import component. So you are already acquainted with this, right? So from this is inbuilt in Angular core. So this is it, and then I can write this component decorator. I have to append an annotation mark at the rate, and then I have my, so here I have to write selector. So let us give the name of this selector as say data, give it some name as data component or any other suitable name that you may like. Okay, but always give a very meaningful name. It helps in the project to understand. Avoid giving any kind of cryptic name or some kind of very generic name. So template, let me not take template URL. Let's keep it very simple. I'll simply keep it as template only. Let me embed the HTML over here and use backticks. See, backticks you will find just beside above your tab key in many keyboards. So backticks, if you are using instead of single quotes, that allows you to have multi-line template, HTML template. Now I'll paste back that HTML which I have written. Now let me write 3 lines. Okay, so one will be name, then city, and let me write salary. Okay, so we have created a basic component just displaying the name, city and salary, and then I will say you have to finally export it, otherwise this will not be visible. So export this component as a class, and let us give this name as data or any kind of name of your choice as it may suit you. Okay, so that's it. So now how will I display this over here in app component.html? By the selector name which you have learned in the first session. So just copy this, come to that HTML. So after title, let me give h2, I'll say employees records. Okay, employees records, and after that just paste this as a tag because this becomes a custom tag. Okay, data component. If you want, you can give some placeholder text to indicate the employee records gets displayed here. This is just an optional thing. This will anyway get overwritten by whatever I have put in data component.ts. Now if I run the application, will it run? No. Why? Because this data component is still not visible to this app component, because I am running it within app component, the main component, parent component. So if I come to this diagram again, so this parent component is my app component and that data component is my child component 1, or the first child component. So that is fine. How I have placed is perfectly fine. But if you come over here, see, and if I press F12 to go to the console, you will see it is giving me an error. Okay. So if data component is an Angular component, then verify that it is part of the module. So in the in one of the previous session, we have already studied about it. Like whatever component we are including, component, pipes, and directives, all we need to mention in app module. Okay, because module takes care of all these things. So by default, there is always one module in Angular application that is called app.module.ts. Even this you can change the name if you want, but better leave it this way only. So in the module, so what are the steps? Just you have to import. Okay, so what is the name of our component? If you come to this component, the component that you have created, just take the name of that component, paste it, and then you have to give the path to that component. So what is the path to that component? If you remember, we have created inside a directory called custom component slash data component, and you don't have to give the TS extension. Okay, and then you take this component, and all the components, pipes, directives, they will come in declarations part, and any module will come in the module part, imports array. Okay, so this will be a part of, so any I'm mentioning it again, any components, directives or pipes will be a part of the declarations array. So we'll do this in more detail when we have that session on Angular module. So for now, just remember you have to place it over here. Now come back. Okay, still some error. Closing tag h3. Okay. So there is some error in the template that we have taken. So here it is fine now. It is recognizing my component. Okay, we see the error that I have done. There is some error over here by mistake. I have taken colon, that is the first error I have done, and another part of the error is that I have not closed the span tag. So these are the two errors I observe. So that is why it is showing me error over there. So let us close this span tag, and let me just simply copy paste so that it is quicker. Okay, now it should work fine. So let us come back. Yeah, so we got it. So now these are empty. Okay, name, city, salary. So we want to fill it with some records. So this is one of the component. So we already have created one child component and main parent component. We have placed it over there. Now we'll have some data within our say. So first part we'll see is like how we can pass data from parent to child. Okay, as I mentioned in this slide that from parent to child we need to have this input decorator. So let us come back to this app component dot. Now we'll close this app module. It is no more required. So whatever is required, we'll keep that only open. Okay. Now say for example in main app dot component I have got a variable. I'm just hard coding it for the timing, but in a real application you have to fetch it from some service, from some HTTP service or REST calls, web service, anything. Okay, so I'll write here public employee record say let it be of type any, data type any equals, even you can omit this any, but just write is equal to whatever I want to give, but as a best practice let us have data type, because it will help you in debugging the application during the runtime if there is any issue. So let it be any, it should be object or array of, it is actually a data type of array. Let's take array, let's not take object, let's not delete this. An array of objects will take. So it is an array having employee records as an object. So employee number 1. So first part I want to say if this comes from the parent, so let me name it E for employee, say E name. Okay, E name, say the first employee, let me write it as say John. Say city colon, and here I give say Mumbai, and salary, so let me name it as ECT, E for employee. Let us maintain a standard prefix. So here let me take it as E salary colon, so I'm just giving the figure, so let it be dollars, rupees, or whatever currency you want to convert it to. So just let me take it as a figure, so let me take it as say 5000. Okay, 4 zeros. Okay, let me copy paste this so that I save some time. Paste and paste. Say 4 records or 3 records, whatever, just for the sake of simplicity I'm taking only 4 records. Okay, so this is John, say this is Sachin, say again Mumbai, and say I'll make it as say 7, say I name is that Kohli, say city I give as Delhi, and salary say I keep it as 8, and say I give the name as say city, and salary let me give it as say 9. Okay, so let me make a different city, say I'll let me make it as say New York. Okay, so remove this. Yeah, okay, so this is an array of objects. Now coming back to this data component in this template file, the HTML template. Now I'm displaying this data component. Okay, now first this data component show it will repeat as many times as the number of employee records. So I've got 4 employee records. So here if you remember we have done this directory ng4, a structural directive, ng4 equals let employee of employee records. Let's see if we have taken the variable name correct. Is it employee records or some other name? Oh, I made a spelling mistake again. So employee, and let us as a good practice we should take with a small letter. We start the variable name with a small letter, or in camel case notation you can take. So I come back here and just correct this. Okay, so right now I'm just saying that ng for let employee of employee record, that's it. So it will repeat for each employee, it will repeat, this whole component will repeat. So this is a structural directive. So if you are already not aware of it, I would suggest you go to my session on go to my video tutorial where I have explained about these structural directives, and see it is repeating. Now it is getting mixed up, so to make it discrete, or to make it discrete, let's do one thing. let's go back to this data component.js, and inside this let us do one thing. Let us take a break tag. Okay, break is already there. Simply let us take a horizontal line HR tag. Now let's run it. You see, now it is separated. Okay, now we have to send. So parent has got the data. So now the scenario is that our parent component has this data. Now this data I want to send to the child component called data component. So here we see, and if you come to app component.html main HTML, so this is the parent HTML template, and this contains this child component called data component. So here we have to send the data. Now first we come to data component. So take some variable over here first. So what we need to do is take some variable. Now this variable, if you decorate with @input, but before using @input, you have to import this input from the Angular core library. So comma, I'll say input, so import it. Then this, it will not show error anymore after you take the variable. So @input, and say here I take variable name. Okay, so C name. So C for child component, so C name. Okay, or let me take it as, say, let me make it more meaningful, employee name. Variable I'm taking, oh sorry, I missed something, please excuse me for that. I keep missing lots of things, but anyway I will correct it also as we go on. Okay, employee name I am taking, which will be of type string. Even if you don't give a type, as I mentioned, it will work, but follow this good practice of giving the data type. Then another decorator variable which we will take over here is employee, say city, colon, this will also be a string, and another you will take is say employee salary. We can take it as still as a string or a number. If you want to format it with something, take it as a number, or you can take it as a string only. Anyway, that is not so much relevant as of now. Doesn't matter whatever we take, so just a variable should be there. So when you decorate with @input, whatever variable you decorate it with @input, so this gets exposed, this variable gets exposed and can be seen by the parent, and parent can set this variable. So if I come to the main app component, let me do one thing, let me give a line break for the sake of readability. Okay, so I'll just give a line break for the sake of readability. Okay, so in this data component, if I, so that whatever @input decorator, and with that whatever variable we have taken, that can be accessed as a property, okay, as an attribute which is exposed. So here I'll say employee name equals, okay, and here you have to give the name of the employee, that variable you have to take. So the variable is nothing but employee dot ename. If you remember, it is employee dot ename. If you come to the main parent component, it is employee, this is ename, the variable name is, the key is ename, ect, esalary. Okay, so coming back over here, so this employee record gets iterated, and each time it is iterating, it is picking up one record and assigning it to this local variable employee. So this employee is an object with a single record, and I can access the name as ename, city as ect, okay, and salary as esalary. So employee city equals, same way I can take employee dot e city, and same way I can just copy paste and modify the third part, that is employee salary. And here I will take as e salary. So we are done. So what we have done, so here we have taken an input decorator which will assign this variable over here, okay, employee city, employee name, and employee salary, and parent can actually assign this. So when this is iterating, so this object it is fetching, each single record it is fetching while it is iterating, and this name, city and salary will get assigned to this employee name, employee city, employee salary. So this gets assigned to this variable. Now this variable simply you can bind it over here within the span tag. Now you have to bind it, otherwise it will not display. It will not show you an error also, but it will not display. So employee name, and same way you have to bind it with employee city, okay, and same way you have to bind it with employee salary finally. So whatever variable value is set, so it will get displayed over there, and whatever number of times it is getting displayed, it is picking each record and showing it. So now let's come back, see, okay, city somehow we have missed, I don't know, like we must have done some mistake. In fact, I have done some mistake, I'd say. So employed city, I think some case, okay, during the time of assignment there must be some mistake. Let's see, employee.ecity, okay, let's come to main component. If it is ecity, oh, I have taken C small over here, so I should maintain some consistency. So either I change over there or change here. So let me change over here. So some consistency is maintained in variable naming. That is very important. Okay, now it should come. Okay, so we got it. Okay, so this we have seen, like how we can communicate from parent to child. Like parent can send data to child. So that is done by using the input decorator. Okay, so I take a child component, inside child component I'll take an input decorator, and whatever variable I will take as an input decorator, so that gets exposed as a property or an attribute, and this I am binding it to the template, so that whenever parent assigns this value will immediately be binded and shown over here. And this is how we assign it, by using the square bracket, because all the attributes, properties, whatever it is, it can be assigned using square bracket in Angular 2 or 4. Okay, now there is one more thing, like say for example I do not want to expose, it may be that many different developers are working on a team and they don't want to expose this variable, they are using the same variable, so the variable name may conflict, they are also using employee name, it can be, or I don't want to give so lengthy name over here. So there is one way I can create an alias. How we can create an alias? Just within double quote, within that constructor, if you give a name, so now this will be referred by this name, this is the alias of this name. So I keeping it very simple, I keep it city, and I keep it as salary. I have simplified it. Internally it is using the variable employee name, but the alias, it will expose this as name. Now if I don't give any value in this to this input decorator as a parameter, then default attribute name will be this only, whatever variable name we are taking. But if you want to keep an alias so that there is no name collision between two different components, so you can use this alias. Okay, so now I have to make changes, otherwise it will not work. Now if I come back, see, it is giving error, it is not able to detect. Well, it is no more employee name, employee city and employee salary, it is simply name, it is simply city, and it is simply salary. Fine, now it should display again, so it is coming again. So this is how we can utilize @input decorator. Okay, now coming to the next part, where a component is sending value to the parent, so it should not be tightly bound. So the concept behind this is, like when the child component should send a message to the parent component, it should be done via an event emitter. It is just emitting an event, so if the parent is interested in listening to the event, then it can do so. So let's follow the step for that. So now we'll look at the demonstration as how a parent can a child can send value to the parent. So for this, let's import output, and now output can have a decorator. Output, and sorry, you have to give this output, and let's give the name send record. Any custom name you can give. So send record, and this is of type. Even if you don't write type, it is okay, it will still be event emitter, but you have to give it as event emitter. So let us import event emitter as well, otherwise it will not recognize it. Event emitter, that is also part of Angular core. So now if I say event emitter, it will take is equal to new event emitter. Okay. So send record event emitter. Okay, what kind of event it will send, this event emitter, that also we need to tell it. So here I can write any. If you want, you can write any. If it will send only number, you can write number. So let us take it any. So let us keep it flexible. So new event emitter, right? So here I am not sending any event as of now. Now let us come back over here. So this name send record, this is also exposed as a event. So in my template, let us first come to data component. Okay, here what we will do is, because see, this event, custom event, we have defined actually a custom event. This cannot happen on its own. So some kind of system event, the application event, like mouse click, mouse up, mouse down, mouse enter, mouse leave, form load, whatever it is, through that we can trigger it. So let us do one thing, let us create one button over here, and on click of this button, we will whenever we click on this button, then this event will be emitted. Okay, so on click of this button, we will just call this send record. Okay, close this and just say, we will say send or select record. We will just say select record. Okay, so when we click on this button, it will just generate this event send record. It will call this as a method, but this will actually generate an event because this is of type event emitter. Okay, just a sec. No, I have directly written the name. Sorry, this needs a correction. Because this is an event emitter, not a method. Method, let us define some method and let's correct it. So let me name it as. Let me name this as send, not select record. Okay. Select record, and send record is an event emitter. Now, so not to confuse you, so let me take different name. In fact, we have to take different name. Public select record. Okay, so it will call the method select record, and through this method then we have to emit this event. So how do we emit this event? Very simple, this dot send record, okay, dot emit. Okay, and if here it is emitting just empty, nothing, it's just emitting an event. So first let's see this in a very simple form. So what I have done, I am calling a method on click of this record, send record, and here I am, this is of type event, I have defined send record, and here if I say send record dot emit, then it will emit this event called send record. Send record is the name of the event. Now let us come back to HTML. So the name is send record, okay, not select record. So I hope you are not getting confused between these two similar names. So if you want, you can take very different name, or let me do one thing so that you don't emit send record event. Let me write it this way, very meaningful name, so that you don't get confused by this similarity of name. So it will call that handler and then send record emit. Okay, so emit send record event. So this will emit this event. Now if I come back over here, so as we know that any event I have to write within parenthesis. So send record is the name of the event. So I'll say send record is equal to, so whenever this event is generated, it should handle some method on the parent side. So let us name this method as get record. So this method get record should be on the parent side. Okay, so let me copy this. Let me come to the parent, that is app component. So here I have to define get record. Type return type void. Even if you don't mention it, it's okay, but do mention it. And here I can receive this event. So right now see, I don't have anything, any data. It is not passing any data. It is just let me say console.log. I'll just say send record event emitted. Okay, so first let's check this. So let us open the console. Okay, see the buttons are there repeating for each. So if I click on this button, send record, see send record event emitted, but we are not getting the data yet. So just a small modification and we'll get the data as well. So go to data component and whatever button, whenever it is clicking a button, so here, come over here. Oh sorry, I have placed it on the wrong position. Okay, take a local variable, say let selected employee colon selected employee, say object obj colon type any or type object is equal to, okay, let us take an object. So we'll just take whatever name has been selected. So we already know that employee name, employee city and employee salary has been selected. So here I'll just say name or selected name. Let me write selected name colon. So I hope selected name I have not used anywhere. If I've used it, you can change it, not to get mixed up with so many similar variable name. So selected name is equal to employee name. Okay, employee name is spelling is correct or not, let's check. Yeah, it is correct. So this I have to refer because this is a property variable. So this dot employee name and then selected city colon this dot employee city, then selected salary colon this dot employee salary. Okay, so in this object I am taking whatever object is selected over here and just within emit just pass it like this. Okay, so I am passing it within the emit constructor. Okay, after doing that, come to HTML component and this I was keeping empty parenthesis, give it some name. So better give the standard name $event. So that will come in the event object. And when you come back to parent, here also you have to give some parameter. So that parameter will come over here. So let us give it as name data, type any or whatever. If you can, you can remove the type if you want. Okay, now over here we can fetch this data. So before that, let's do one thing. Over here in this template app component.html, let us make a place to show what data has been selected. So I'm putting it on the top because if there are more records, then it will go to the bottom and we won't be able to see. So I'm keeping it on the top. See here I'll say selected record. Okay, so selected record. Let's do one thing, simply copy paste from here. Let's have the same format over here just like we have done. Okay, so it will save us some time to type. Okay, so these are the selected record. Only we need to change the variable name. Okay, so let us take a variable first. Let us take a variable over here inside your app component. See, I'll take a variable called an object, say public. Let me take the name as selected employee data. Okay, any of type object or any. Okay, and simply what I do is I'll just assign this dot selected employee data is equal to this data, whatever we are receiving through the event. This data will get assigned to this. So now I come back to this app component.html. Okay, so coming to app component.html, what I will do is, so I'll just say this dot whatever is the name. Like if you see how data component is sending this, it is sending this as keys selected name, selected city and selected salary. So come back over here, so you'll say dot selected name. Now let me copy this entire thing, let me first paste. Okay, so selected city, and same way I change it over here, selected salary. Okay, so what I am doing, let me mention the sequence again. First I come to this data component, and here I will make an output, use an output decorator, and this will be of type event because it has to send event to share the data, to communicate with the parent. So let me name the event as send record. It is of type event emitter, and here in the this angular bracket we have to tell the data type that this event will generate. You can leave it blank also, and even new event emitter. Then after that I define one method, say emit send record event, and on click of this button I define one button also. So this button will also get repeated with the template in ng4, and it will call the method emit send record event. So what this method is doing, it is just taking whatever is the employee name, employee city and employee salary for this instance and packaging it in an employee object. Okay, and just passing this employee object over here by saying this dot second send record dot emit. Send record is an event emitter type, so this will emit an event of with this payload data. Now coming to app component.html, so this event I have to write within parentheses as you write any event with click event or custom event, and here I am assigning this handler or method which will be handled on the parent component with this parameter $event or whatever event name you can take. And then when you come to app component.ts, here we see that we are just fetching this get record. We are through get record we are getting this data as the parameter, and this data I am assigned to selected employee data. Once we assign this, automatically this will display over here in this app component.html all the selected record. I have already given that selected employee data dot selected name, selected city, selected salary. Okay, so this was pretty lengthy, this process. So now let's finally run and see, check. Okay, it seems some kind of error has come. Okay, that error we'll see. First let's click over here, see selected is John, New York. Now if I come over here, click, selected is Sachin, Mumbai. You see on the top it is changing. So now like click this data, say Kohli. So see, so it is this way. Now my child is passing the data to the parent component. Okay, this issue is coming because initially it is undefined, there is no value. So that also you can make a check on this. You can keep a check. You can modify this code. See, because see initially it is trying to take selected name. So as long as I am not clicking the button, it is not getting this selected employee data dot selected name. It is empty, right? So to overcome that error in a real project, here it doesn't matter, still it is running. But in a real project, if you want to overcome this issue, then there is a workaround for that. Like when I am declaring this selected employee object, selected employee data, what you can do is just assign an empty value to this. Okay, just assign an empty value and that error will not come. So what were the values? The values were selected name, selected city. So I'll simply copy it from this data component so that I don't have to type it. So I'll just copy this from here to here, that's it, and just give a blank value in the beginning. In the beginning I do not want any pre-populated value, so let it be a blank value. Oh, I have copied it with this bracket as well, so let me delete this. Okay, so all this you need to keep it blank, so that error will not come, because right now it is coming as undefined, but once you click it, that error doesn't comes. But we don't want this error in the beginning also, so I can just rectify this error very simply. Okay, so this is it. Okay, now let's see it again. Okay, no error there. So fine, so now it is running perfect. Okay, so whatever record I select, in fact you should have given it in the right side, so that I don't have to scroll and see whether that is reflecting or not. Okay, so now say for example the last record, if I click say Dhoni, so here it will come as Dhoni. So this way we can have parent to child and child to parent communication. Fine. So now for you this is left as an exercise. What if there is a parent container with two child components like over here? So here one way can be simply to communicate via parent, send the value to the parent and then parent will send it to the another child. So that way we can do. Okay, so just explore this, how you can achieve this. So this is left as an exercise for you. So I hope this learning was fruitful for you, and thanks very much for watching my video tutorial, and very soon I'll come up with my next video tutorial on Angular 4. So thanks very much and bye bye.